what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Behind the Reel. We've got another podcast for you tonight. Really excited about this one. We're going to be bringing James Leggett in to talk about the Central States Kayak Series. They got some really cool stuff going on up there. Definitely have some hammers that are fishing with them, so excited to dig into that a little bit. Also want to thank you guys for the participation that we've had recently. We are at 530 subscribers, so we are climbing. We're going to see 500 go away here pretty soon. Going to be announcing the 500 subscriber giveaway here pretty quick as well. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Also, make sure you check out the latest video. I know there's a lot of guys that really enjoy the podcast, but these other videos do help us out quite a bit, help us gain followers and stuff like that. So got some cool stuff on the Plano edge boxes. I've been pretty happy with those so far. So maybe some of you guys have some input on that. And if you want to ask some questions about it tonight, make sure you get in the comment section. If you guys want to ask specific questions with James or about the Central States Kayak Series, just pop them in the comment section and we will get to those just as quickly as we can. So guys, I'm going to quit rambling on here, and we're going to get James on and get a little behind the reel. What's up, James?
Hey, John. How's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Good. Had a little surgery yesterday, but
yeah,
I got a beer and an oxycodone, so I'm all right.
That just as the doctor prescribed. I don't
exactly
think ever prescribes one without the other.
I think you said have 2 beers with that oxy.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. Well, so yeah, you had a little visit, but you are here, and I appreciate that. I did not force it on you, though. You're not here under duress.
No, I came under my own free will.
All right. Well, I know the contract we signed would have allowed you to back out.
I'm good, man. I'm good. But if I drop an F-bomb, now you know why.
Hey, it's all good, man. That's why we do it so late. You know, all the kids are in bed.
That's right.
But yeah, so for the folks that are watching that don't know you, just a little introduction about yourself, how you got into fishing, and then maybe more specifically how you got into kayak fishing. Yeah.
So, gosh, I really got into fishing just as a kid, going with my dad, and just kind of grew up like that. We as a kid, we'd lived in Arkansas and Oklahoma and Texas and Colorado and kind of all over the place. My dad got transferred a lot. So that was just something that him and I always did, is we went fishing. As I got older, you know, I was kind of that punky little kid, and Dad and I didn't always see eye to eye, but there was always fishing, right? Like we could always come together over fishing, and that's where so much of our quality time was spent together. And Dad passed last year, but before he passed away, we had some great fishing trips, man. We did a fly fishing trip on the White River down in Arkansas that was fantastic. We did a bass fishing trip, Lake El Salto down in Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Which is that should be everybody's bucket list trip for sure if you're a bass fisherman, which was absolutely fantastic. Took me a year before I could drink another margarita after that trip. And even more recently, 2 years ago, we went down in our kayaks. My dad came down and fished out of my uncle's boat, but we met Dwayne Wally down in Grand Isle, Louisiana, and we're slamming some redfish out there in the salt marsh. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So even though Dad and I didn't always see eye to eye, we always had fishing, right? So and that's kind of why I did Central States, right? Rick Valadez, Jay Mueller, and I have been kind of talking about this for a while. They helped me make all the decisions on this. I just get to be the guy who posts on Facebook all the time. But for me, I understand my place as an angler, right? I know what my strengths are, but what my weaknesses are. You're not very often going to find me at the top of the leaderboard, but that's okay. To me, the important thing is just those relationships, right? And that's kind of why we did this. Is we want to. You and I were kind of talking off camera a little bit about, people are coming and going all the time in this sport, whether they find another hobby or whatever. Well, I think if, as a club director, if you can just strengthen those relationships, more people are going to stick around, and you're just going to see those clubs, the sport just grow and grow and grow. There's a lot of good anglers out there that don't fish any clubs.
Yeah. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry.
Okay. No, I thought I lost you there. I was actually sharing this link on a couple groups there. So,
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that if we can, bring new people into the sport, offer our help them load up their kayak and at the end of the day, ask them what they were catching fish on, little things like that, I think can really add up and add to the experience of fishing a kayak tournament because for a new angler, it's not really about winning the event,
Right.
Um, especially if you're just starting out in fishing in general, I think kayak fishing can be a little bit more intimate. With the competition, it's not like maybe fishing a big, national circuit event where
Right.
everybody's just trying to win. It's just kind of a fun camaraderie type deal.
Yeah. So, John, have you ever fished any of with Moyak at all? Any of their tournaments?
Yeah, but it's been a while.
Yeah. So Josh Booth, everybody knows Josh Booth.
Yep.
He's just such a good guy, and he's put together such a good club. And I've fished lots of different tournaments, and Josh is always just every tournament I've fished with him, he just makes everybody feel so welcome, right?
Yeah.
And we want to try to duplicate that, right? We want to do what Josh is doing and kind of have that same feeling when someone fishes one of our tournaments. We
Yeah.
want to provide the experience as well as a platform for people to come and compete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the start of your club. So you have, and then maybe go into that a little bit too. Like in the Nebraska area, I think at one point, like now you have the sticks, right?
Right.
But wasn't there like a couple clubs in that area, and then they combined into the sticks, and then
Yeah, and I really don't know the whole history there or how that all happened.
okay,
But yeah, they all kind of folded into one, into the sticks, and was that 2 years ago or
yeah,
whatever? And of course, last year with the pandemic, there was an explosion of
yeah,
kayak fishermen, right? I mean, there was a ton of people. You go in our local dealers, and you couldn't find a boat; they just weren't there. And we saw new guys out on the lakes all the time, and we just really thought that now's a good time for us to kind of jump into this and do something a little bit different. So
okay. And when I see your posts on Facebook and stuff, you guys got like the big checks, and it seems like are you trying to mirror some of that from Moyak and run it more like a bigger scale event, or are you because you're kind of talking about being more of the intimate, like welcoming new anglers, but
right.
what are your goals for the club, long term?
Well, I think really we just want people to come and fish and have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the big check and we have the nice banner and we have all of these things.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, whether you're the last place finisher or the first place finisher, guys just want to be recognized, right? They want to be recognized. So what we try to do, and Rick in our club, Rick Valadez, he's really good at this, is we try to go around and say hey to everybody and shake everybody's hand and kind of talk to them a little bit about the tournament. And guys love that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they just want to know that someone acknowledges that they're there participating. One of the other things that we do is I always encourage anglers, whether you're finishing dead last, middle of the pack, whatever, come to the award ceremony, right? Let's all get together and celebrate each other. And I think we see some of those things kind of paying off in the relationships that we have within the club. We had 64 people join the club. We had around 20 plus that fished each tournament regularly.
Yeah.
And it's like we're all competitive for sure, but we're all friends first, and it makes it that much more fun.
Yeah, it's fun to talk smack to your friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not as fun when you don't know the guy, but yeah, we're pretty ruthless with each other around here, and then at work as well. We have
right.
some competition going there. So, but Heck yeah. So you're kind of catering to that Nebraska, Iowa, and then you also do you see many of the Kansas guys ever?
We don't, and that's not to say that we won't. Um, right now, this year, we focused on Iowa and Nebraska. We haven't really kind of laid things out for next year yet, but we've tossed around maybe going down to Mazingo or going down to Pony Creek down in Sabetha, or just adding some of those different lakes.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We don't know.
Yeah.
We may want to keep it pretty close. We want to try to keep everything within a few hours, 2 or 3 hours tops of Omaha, right?
Yeah.
One of the other motivators for us on starting this club was, not everybody can take a 3-day weekend, once a month and travel, 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever. And it just doesn't work for everybody. So with this year, all of our tournaments were within 2 hours. So it was easy enough for someone to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and drive, right? And then fish
Yeah.
all day and drive back if they needed to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yep.
And then, so you did team up with an event or two with the sticks as well?
Yeah. Yep. So we co-hosted the Omaha Roadrunner, which was our first tournament, April 24th, and then our last tournament here in just a few weeks ago, we did the Lincoln Roadrunner with them.
Okay. Heck yeah. And you've got some familiar faces. So, we've had James Francis on here. We've had Marty Hughes on here. Who are some of the guys' names that you keep seeing at the top of the list in the Central States Series?
Yeah, so no matter where you are, you're always going to see James Francis and Marty Hughes at the top of the list, right? I mean, those guys are just incredible anglers. Nate Glory is another one. Nate's been around for a while. He's certainly proved himself as a force on the water for sure. We really enjoy fishing with him, but we have some other guys that are coming up. Chris Longshore, Bobby Rubik, those guys are fantastic. Rick Valadez, he did good. He went down to All-American, I think, down in Oklahoma, picked up a 10th place finish there. So he's doing good. Jay Mueller, who picked up big bass win at the KBF Nationals last year.
Nice.
I think he cashed like a $7,000 check on that deal.
Wow.
Alex Nisley, another guy, used to be a boat guy, and he's definitely a great angler. Dude's an incredible jig fisherman for sure.
What do you? I'm going to interrupt you. Sorry.
Yeah,
because that's what we do here. We're just going to go off on these like random creeks and channels and just kind of just go wherever this thing takes us.
Sure.
What do you think about the guys that are going from a boat to a kayak? Like, just go into that. I mean, wherever you want to take that, or vice versa. Like a guy going from a kayak to a boat, but we've seen quite a few people go from the big boat stuff down to a kayak, and why do you think that is? Pros, cons, all that good stuff.
Man, it's two different styles of fishing, really. Alex has done it well. Tim Parker's another guy in our club who's really done it. These guys both excel in a kayak. They're very, very good. I guess I don't really have any real feelings about it. Like, we welcome everybody,
Sure.
And I think everybody's got to fish to what suits them. We had one guy in our club this year, and he had some personal stuff going on, so he had to get rid of his kayak, and now he's going to just fish out of his boat. And I get that,
Sure.
no hard feelings, and it's just better suited for him and his life.
Do you think like for somebody who's fishing in a series, like in your series, in your club, and they're like, man, this boat guy, he must really know what he's doing. And then, sometimes those guys show up and they have a hard time. Yeah. They have a hard time learning how to fish out of a kayak. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but some of them take well to it. But do you see it as an advantage or a disadvantage?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the boat guys, I mean, time on the water is time on the water, right? Like,
sure.
You're going to catch fish out of a boat, you're going to catch fish out of a kayak. The difference being how you can position yourself, the waters you can get into, all of those things. I think for boat guys coming to a kayak, it takes a little bit of time for them to figure that out. I had a buddy of mine from Colorado who came out and fished our first tournament with us this year, the Omaha Roadrunner, and he's a boat guy. Yeah. And he still caught fish, but at the end of the day, he was like, holy cow, it's completely different, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so close to the water, and you can't get places as fast, and getting your boat position, and all those things were challenges for him. So yeah, and I think until they get a few of those under their belt, yeah, there's a little bit of an advantage for guys who've been in the kayaks for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah. Now you fish out of a boat and a kayak.
Yeah. So I've had a boat for a few years. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really started fishing out of a kayak almost as soon as I started right before.
You there? I think you froze up, John.
All right. Are we good now?
Yeah, I think you're back.
Okay. Sorry. I don't know what that is.
That's right.
I was telling you, I need to get a little Wi-Fi booster or something out here in the garage, but it used to not do that. I don't know what the deal is, but
It's all good.
yeah. So I have a bass boat. I don't really fish out of it a whole lot. I've had it for a few years right now. My outboard motor needs some work, so it's just sitting there right now.
Sure.
But yeah, I really learned how to fish out of a kayak. Now I did a little bit of fishing growing up, not a whole lot, but really learned how to fish out of a kayak.
So, would you say you are a better boat fisherman because of what you learned in a kayak?
No,
Really?
I struggle in a boat, man. I really do.
And why is it? Is it just where you can get the boat? Is it?
One is probably because I fish El Dorado all the time, but but no, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I really don't. It's probably just in my head, to be honest with you. But
Right.
I'm definitely a little bit more comfortable in a kayak.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to really put in enough time on my bass boat to feel
Right.
100% comfortable. I think there are definitely some advantages and disadvantages there, but for maybe my style of fishing, what I like to do, I think my advantage is staying kind of put in one place. And
Right.
fishing shallow is kind of what I typically do.
Yeah. Rick and I went out to Colorado and fished a kayak tournament at Horsetooth Reservoir out there last year, and I had a chance a couple of weeks ahead of time to go out and pre-fish out of a boat. And I tell you what, I was lost, man. I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, it was just completely different. I mean, there's such a big difference between sitting so close to the water and making an accurate cast and standing on the front of a boat and making an accurate cast.
Yeah. Yeah. We were fishing Wednesday nighter out at El Dorado, I don't know, maybe a month ago now. And I got my big, expensive legal dope swim bait tied on, and I throw it out there, and it's like 20 foot up in the air in a tree. I'm like, how the heck did that happen?
It's an expensive lesson.
Oh yeah, well I got it back. Trust me.
Oh, okay, all right. That's funny.
But I don't ever do that in a kayak, So maybe there is something to that.
Yep.
Guys, if you have any, I don't know. It looks like our chat is working, but we don't have any comments in here. So guys, make sure we got some people watching. Jump in the comments if you got a question. I'll ask you, James. So you mentioned that you kind of started kayak fishing in 2018.
2018. Yep. Had no idea what I was doing. I got into tournaments in 2018. In 2016, I went and bought an Emotion Spitfire 9. So I was in a little 9-footer, and I would go out and just kind of hit some of the local lakes around here. And then 2018 into 2017, I picked up a Feel Free Lure 11.5, and I'm still currently in that boat, but I think this is my last year for it. But decided, well, I'd go give it a try, and man, it's been a learning experience, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it can be humbling for sure when you first start getting into these competitions.
Sure.
But I would say, to anybody who's starting, stick with it. If you want to be a better angler, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win tournaments.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that at all. But if you want to be a better angler, hang out with these guys fishing the tournaments, and you're going to learn a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
We kind of talk about the relationships with guys in the club. Marty, Tim Parker, Nate Glory, those guys have all been awesome this year at like sharing with the other guys what's working for them and what's not working for them. And I don't think you see that all the time in different clubs, but there's something about our club where we do talk about those things, and it's not a big deal, right? We all want to help each other, right? Like we get pleasure out of seeing our buddies succeed. We had a tournament this year, Green Valley, and going into the last half hour, I was sitting in second place, and I lost second, dropped all the way to fifth. But the guy who took second, Michael Thomas, new guy. He started fishing some last year, kind of doing some league night through the sticks with us. Pretty green for sure, but I tell you what, the guy's a workhorse for sure. And he came up to Green Valley and put up 88 inches. Fantastic. So yeah, I was disappointed that I dropped to fifth, but it was all worth it. Michael Thomas, to see him take second place and the smile on his face, it's fantastic. Third place, Tyler Alexander, another guy who's kind of new to tournaments. He came in there and snuck up in front of me and he fished. He caught his last fish to pull ahead in like the last 10 minutes of the tournament. New guy. I'd love to see that. It's awesome.
Yeah. No, that is really cool to see, a new guy catch his PB or catch the big bass or do well in a tournament. And you really can see that sort of stuff definitely keeps the fire lit.
Oh, for sure. And, for that tournament, it wasn't a complete loss for me. I think fifth place is still a respectable finish, but I caught my first 20 in a tournament. That was nice. That was a huge deal for me.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot, right? Like I got a 20 and a quarter, an 18, a 17, a 16 and a 13 or something. I spent too much time trying to get another big bite instead of worrying about upgrading that 13. And that's what cost me in the end. So, okay, I didn't cash a check, but I took an awful lot away from that.
I'm still working on my first tourney 20.
Are you?
Yeah, I have the curse of a 1975.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal
good
is.
Fish, man.
I don't know what the deal is, but I've been dealing with that one so yeah, I'm still waiting on that one.
Yeah, I think I don't know if you're familiar with Green Valley and the lakes up there around Creston, but it's like Green Valley 12 mile and 3 mile, and they're all within like 30 minutes of each other. When I caught that 20 a quarter, I think they could hear me over on 3 mile. I was so excited.
Heck yeah, that was like we had a new guy, so this is kind of a similar deal. Ivan Diaz, he's got a YouTube channel. Shout out to Casual Bass Guy, but he started fishing out of a float tube and then kind of got tied in with us, and now he's fishing out of a kayak, fishing tournaments with us. And he caught a 22 something out at Butler State Fishing Lake, and you could hear him all the way across the lake.
Did you just blow out a secret spot there? Or?
Butler? Oh no, it's not a secret. It's not a secret. It can be a tough lake, but there's a lot of good fish in there still.
Okay.
A lot of people do kind of write it off, kind of like what we were talking about with Wanahoo.
Right.
Wanahoo doesn't get the respect that you might think it deserves. I think Butler's the same way.
Okay.
Well, let's get into Wanahoo here in a second, but Daniel wants to know, what is your yak setup? So you let us know about the Feel Free Lure 11.5, right?
Yeah. So get this.
What else you got?
I'm 53 years old. I'm still a paddle guy.
Okay.
So I still paddle all over the lake. My electronics, I've got the old Garmin Striker 4. So nothing fancy, and I just go out there and fish, man. Right? Yeah. I like having the Garmin for water temp, and depth. That's you find a little bit of structure with it, but it's not the best piece of equipment out there. But I feel like it makes me a better angler.
Yeah.
Right. Like I feel like, and I'm hoping to upgrade this year into I'm looking at the Native Titan 12, but I feel like because I have spent so much time paddling, that when I make that transition, I'm going to be a better angler because of that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think so. I think if you put in time with a paddle, I think that your transition into a pedal. I think that your whole style of fishing could possibly change
Oh
when
yeah,
you
for
put
sure,
some pedals under your feet.
for sure.
Um,
As it is right now in a paddle boat, I really have to approach the body of water different than everybody else. And what I try to do is I break it down into thirds, right? Like a lake like Wanahoo or Green Valley, I break it down into thirds and just try to figure out what third of the lake holds shallow flats, drop-offs, timber, brush piles, all those. And I try to just really just zero in on that part of the lake.
Yeah.
Too much time wasted if you're traveling the entire lake when you're in a paddle boat.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think there's advantages and there's disadvantages. If you pick the wrong third, you're screwed.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you've got the pedal, maybe you can travel into those other thirds and do a little bit more power fishing. And some days power fishing could pay off, but some days it could be detrimental. So
yeah. So what I've noticed about the guys in pedal boats, and the difference between me paddling is they tend to stay back from the thick stuff, right? The thick grass a little bit.
Sure.
Whereas when you're paddling, it's easier to get back in there. You don't have to worry about stuff getting caught up in your prop and all of that. So, I think there's advantages and disadvantages to it, but I think I've paid my dues. I'm ready to start pedaling instead of paddling.
Heck yeah.
So
I'll say I'll never go back to paddling. I never will.
No.
I don't think so. Now, I think that when that first happened, and I don't know, I think Marty and I kind of talked about it a little bit, but, there was a little bit of I don't know, maybe stigma is not the right word, but there was a little bit of a stigma on like the pedal guys. Do the paddle guys and the pedal guys belong in the same competition, and stuff like that?
Yeah.
But what do you feel like? Do you feel like you're at a disadvantage, or do you feel like because of the differences, you're going to use it to your advantage?
I try the best that I can to use it to my advantage. I think, obviously, if you can cover more water in a shorter amount of time, less effort, that's going to be an advantage. But I don't know. I don't have a problem with pedal kayaks and paddle kayaks being together. Yeah. Now, I'm still on the fence about how do I feel about trolling motors and putting motors on these kayaks.
So do you guys allow motors?
We don't.
Okay.
We don't this year, and there's some discussion about it. And Rick, who's the other director, one of the other directors, he was like, no. Jay Mueller, who's another director, was like, yes. And I was kind of leaning towards yes. And we put this out for some discussion on our Facebook page. Yeah. And I really don't know which way to go now. Like I see it, but I think it takes a little bit away from the purity of the sport.
I wonder though, okay, let's say you guys don't allow, and this isn't about, what the Central States Kayak Series decision is, but this is just the open discussion, right? So if you decide that the trolling motor or motors, right, are not allowed, where do you draw the line with electronics?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, because like you can't have a motor, but you can have live scope. So, and if it's about somebody having an advantage, there's clearly an advantage to the guy who has live scope.
I would agree with you to a point. I've watched guys fish with live scope, and they spend an awful lot of time looking at that screen and not
there could be disadvantages as well, just like there could be disadvantages with the motor.
Right,
is my argument, because those guys, they might just be zooming on past stuff, or the live scope guys sitting there trying to catch this fish that's never going to bite.
Yeah. So I guess my other thought on motors is, most of the lakes that we fish in eastern Nebraska, western Iowa, 600 acres or less. Do you really need a trolling motor for that?
Sure.
I don't know.
Sure.
Probably
not. You don't need it. Sure.
Right. I mean, you could
small of the lake. No.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll kind of see. I mean, there's definitely going to be some discussion about it in the in the off season, try to figure out, is this something we want to do, something we don't want to do. We haven't made any decisions at this point, but it's one of those things that we talk about often.
I wonder, is part of the hesitance, like, do you feel like maybe some of the newcomers, the people that are new to the sport, might be off put by the fact that, hey, these guys have all this technology and I'm at a disadvantage?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a very real thing. Like, when I first got into it, the guys in pedal boats were intimidating enough, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Right? So you try putting, someone who's in a less expensive kayak, against someone, with their spot lock. Yeah, they're going to be totally intimidated by it, and who knows? Maybe that's the thing that pushes them away from the club.
Sure.
And I'm not sure that that's who we want to be, right? Because we want to try to make everybody feel welcome and like, they have an opportunity. I think every club is going to have 3, 4, 5 anglers that are always going to perform well and finish at the top, and there's nothing you can do about that, and that's fine. But we don't want to turn the newer anglers or the less skilled anglers away because so-and-so's, got their old town with spot lock, right? We want everyone to feel welcome.
Yeah. You mentioned your first kayak was an Emotion.
Yeah.
Mine was as well. And it was a sit inside 10-foot Emotion, I don't know, Stealth or something like that.
Right.
But I was probably shouldn't have been fishing out of it, honestly. But that was, I rolled that thing around for a couple years.
Yeah. And, that's kind of how I felt about my Spitfire. It was a little 9-footer. I was a much bigger guy. In fact, this year I've dropped 80 pounds. So
oh, wow.
It's really made a difference in the way that I fish. But, you put a 300-pounder in a little 9-foot Spitfire, or I'm sure it was comical.
Heck yeah. What how did you get into kayak fishing? Was it something that you just saw the local guys around there doing, or?
Yeah, it was something I'd kind of seen. I think I had gone out to Wanahoo in 2017 maybe, and there was a tournament out there, and I was like, holy cow, look at this. And I was just, it was so cool. And I was like, just kind of watched them all take off from the shore or from the boat ramp. I was like, man, that is super cool. So just got a kayak and was like, okay, I'm going to go do this. And in 17, I did an online tournament, had no idea what I was doing, didn't read the rules, measured every single one of my fish incorrectly, like covered their eyes, the mouth was open, all this kind of stuff. So I never submitted anything. Yeah. And then finally in 2018, I jumped right into a live tournament.
Yeah. And that's where that was in Kansas.
That was Big Hill Lake. Is that what it is?
Yep.
That was a cold day, man.
It was. That was the one. Jeff Herr won that one, and he ended up with an insane limit. He's an Oklahoma guy.
Yeah, he had like 90 inches or something. I mean, he really just.
It was like lower 90s, I think. 90. Yeah, but I guess he had a good day. But that lake is really good. If you ever get an opportunity to come down here, that is one you should hit when you're around.
Yeah, so I got skunked that day, right? Like I threw the big zero, but it was like I said, you learn a lot once you get into this. I feel like I can fish those cold temps a little bit better now than I used to. I don't know if you remember at that tournament, but the guy who traveled with me, Prescott Humphrey, had a broken leg. And
I do remember that.
I didn't. And Prescott and I had never met. We just kind of chatted online before coming down to this. So I didn't know. I thought like he was like in a boot and like recovering. Now his leg was full on broken. He was in, I can't remember what he was in, but it was like a sit-in kayak.
Yeah.
And he was in such bad shape. I had to load his boat. I had to unload his boat, carry all of his stuff for him and all that stuff. And he still got out there, and we both just stunk it up that day. And at one point we both went back to the car and took a nap. But it was still a good time. And then I think my next tournament after that was, maybe 12 mile or 3 mile up in Iowa. But was once I kind of got into it, I was addicted, man. I mean, I just don't see myself ever stopping this. You
Yeah.
look at guys like Marty who've been doing this forever, or what a way to fish. What a way to spend your life, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't really see myself going anywhere either. I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit. I'm somewhat obligated, with running the club and stuff. So
Right.
I have I definitely have a vested interest in kayak fishing, but I do. I enjoy just getting out there, doing a little bit of fishing, being one with nature. It's peaceful to me, even just to
Yeah.
go fish, and even if there is a little bit on the line.
Do you see yourself ever wanting to transition out of running the club?
Yeah. I mean, there have been times where I've thought about that
Yeah.
for sure. Um, I don't know. I mean, I kind of enjoy it, but then at other times it can be kind of stressful, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And
But
you're trying to please a lot of different people.
yeah,
So we definitely feel that pressure, um, and I think we've handled it pretty well. I think at the end of the day, as long as we're, providing good events that are fair and everybody's having a good time, we're pretty happy with it. One other thing that we do is we try to feed our anglers at the end of every tournament,
nice.
whether it be tacos, or I think once I just brought a couple pieces of a couple big watermelons, and but we just want to have that time together to kind of celebrate and break some bread and hang out.
I like that. Yeah, and I've thought about that. The Moyak events that I went to, or at least one of them, we had a fish fry.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did a deal out at Taneycomo, and they had a big fish fry for us, and it was cool. Uh, but a lot of work goes into that,
Oh
definitely.
yeah, for sure. For
It's
sure.
it's a team effort. You can't do that by yourself. You got to have some good guys
Right.
around you for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm very, very lucky to have Jay and Rick with me on this thing, for sure. Because uh, and we've worked through some kinks, and how that all works out and what tournament day looks like. And those guys are typically back there judging fish. As soon as they get off the water, I'm out kind of greeting and talking to everybody. And we do this thing called Not Your Dad's Tackle Box.
Okay.
Uh, similar to what Moyak does, something where you bring a lure, throw it in the tub, and you
Yeah.
get a raffle ticket. And what we did a little bit different is, if you don't have a lure to throw in there, it's got to be a new lure. You can throw in $5 and buy a raffle ticket. So then all this stuff is collected, and then we draw a winner for it. So I do those kinds of things. They're back there judging fish, and it all just works out really well.
I like that. Yeah. So you can win a bunch of lures and some
Yeah, I
cash.
tell you what, Marty won. I think he won Not Your Dad's Tackle Box at Wanahoo, and he probably won like $80 and probably $300 worth of tackle. It was crazy.
I like it. I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think the guys enjoy it. You know.
Yeah. I might need to do something like that. But yeah, I think that as far as like a perspective from the tournament director aspect, I think I'm fairly goal oriented, and if my goal was to win all these tournaments, I'd probably be pretty miserable. So
Right.
going back to some of the things that you were talking about, this tournament fishing will make you a better angler. It may not mean that you're in the top five every time, but it'll make you a better angler. I
Sure.
kind of judge my success off of um, being able to catch limits more consistently than I have been in the
Right.
past, and being able to catch fish different ways, and being able to make decisions based off of conditions and stuff that are going on. So
Right.
those, I kind of take my wins where I can. But with a club, you have goals that you might set for yourself that are unrealistic sometimes. About okay, well, we got 40 members this year, let's do 80 next year, and then that doesn't
Right.
happen. And that's when I've found myself getting down on myself, is maybe when I'm not being realistic with myself. So like, maybe our goals should be more simple, like you're talking about. Everybody
Well,
has fun. Everybody
right.
everybody feels welcome, like we're breaking bread together. I can dig it.
Well, I think by nature, tournament anglers we're competitive people, right?
Yeah.
So we want to have a lot of people at our tournaments. We want to have those bigger payouts. We want to, right? And I think that's just natural for us.
Yeah.
And that's something I really struggle with because I am competitive like that. But I also, I think Jay and Rick have done a good job of keeping me in check and making me realize that the best way to grow this thing for us is organically.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go out, put on a good event. People will talk about it and more people will come and it'll happen that way.
Yeah.
And it's a lot less stressful as a director when you approach it that way, as opposed to, my gosh, how do I get another 30 guys to come sign up? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think by introducing people to the sport with that attitude of being helpful, sharing those secrets or, whatever it may be, if that's how they're introduced to the sport, that's how they're going to introduce others to the sport.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I was going to say one other thing that we did, we had our regular tournament at Green Valley here back in July. Well, the day before we did a team tournament on a 3 mile. And what we did is we really encouraged some of the guys who've been in the sport for a while to team up with maybe some guys who were newer to the sport. And I mean, it was amazing. Just some of the relationships that were formed from that. Marty and Jay Alcera won it. Jay's a new tournament guy this year, and the cool thing about him, he was super stoked that he won it, and he'll tell you he guided Marty that day. I don't know how much I believe that, but I'm just kidding. He did guide Marty, and Jay was on fire that day, and it just ended up being a great thing. And there were lots of goodwill towards each other when you're doing a tournament like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you get in on any of the ice fishing?
No.
Well, a pretty quick response there.
No, I went. I did go once last year with Jay Mueller, and that was all right. My feet froze.
Yeah.
But before that, it'd probably been, I don't know, 25 years since I'd been. It was with a couple buddies out in Colorado, and we had no hut, no heater. We sat on a block of ice, froze our tail off, drank too much, and had to wait to sober up before we could come home. So, yeah.
Maybe you left a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, I was like, maybe this isn't for me.
Fat Bastard says, when are we going to get the pit video? I know, I'm slacking on that one. We did a really cool tournament out at the strip pits this year. I don't know if you guys have anything like it up there, but we have all these old strip pits that were mined back in the day for coal. And
right.
They just dug out a bunch of, some of these pits are like 60 feet deep. And then some of them are, maybe only 20 or 30 feet deep. But there's just a bunch of, dug out bodies of water now. They've all filled up, and the Department of Wildlife stocks them even. And
that's awesome. I think I was reading a little bit about those, and there's they hold all kinds of fish, don't they? I mean,
yeah, there's a trout pit.
Yeah.
And it's like the only body of water that holds trout all year long in Kansas. And they've got some really good bass in there. And yeah, it's a really sweet deal. There's like 1,000 different pits down there. And so we did a tournament where you can go fish whichever one you want. It's pretty sweet.
That's cool. That's very cool, man. If I make a trip down, you going to take me out then?
Hey, I've only been there one time. That was this tournament, but I'll take you.
Yeah, let's go, man, for sure.
We'll get some of the guys that are from that area to put us on some fish. But anyway, so yeah, that one, to be honest with you, I haven't even really started editing anything except for the intro on that one. So maybe Fat Basses can come over and help me edit that one.
There you go. So hey, John, so are you guys are going to All American, right?
Yeah, we're gonna be qualifying guys to go to the All American. I think we need to get a caravan together because some of our guys are pretty rooted to the Wichita area. So I think we're gonna have to motivate them a little bit to hop on the highway. But I actually had Justin Maples call me today, and he's all excited about it, and he's got a room down there, and I think I'm gonna room with him and give it a shot. I haven't fished. I fished one All-American event, which was at Wilson this year. But other than that, I didn't go fish the championship or anything last year. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I haven't fished any of their events, but I'll get my ticket punched on the director's card or something, right? So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to getting out there, and we've already got a house rented down there for the tournament, and hopefully our club can all make it down and stay together and have a good time. But I'm really looking forward to that. There's been a lot of chatter in our club about it. We still have one more tournament kind of going to shape up what our top 10 look like that we're sending to that. Guys want to go, man. We're excited to get down there and fish and just see how we can stack up against Air Capital and all the other clubs out there.
Heck yeah. Yeah, no, it'll be a really cool time. I think it's an awesome idea to have kind of a regional series that's ran like a national, a national deal. And that was kind of the cool thing about the Midwest Kayak Fishing Series. So,
right.
Now that that's not really, a live deal anymore, that was a little short-lived, I think. So it's cool to see them step in.
Yeah, for sure. And you couldn't ask for better guys than Tyler Cole and Josh Booth to do it.
Yeah, heck yeah, I agree. Question though, that reminded me. How are you guys? So I'm curious. You said you have one event left of the year, and that's going to shape up your top 10. Do you have like somebody who's running away with it, and then go into how you are awarding these points, like your point system?
Yeah. So basically, our point system's pretty simple. You finish first, you get 100, second 99, third 98, fourth 97, so on and so on. We had 6 events total, so you get your best 4 scores, and that's what gets you there, right? So if you look at our Angler of the Year standings right now, it looks like Nate is running away with it. In fact, he's like 394 points. The next closest guy is Kevin Mock, another great angler who's kind of new to the sport. He's at 377, right? So it seems like Nate's running away with it. Yeah. However, Chung Pham, CP, he's only fished 3 events. So he comes out, and if he wins our last event out at 12 Mile, and Nate doesn't get a 5th place finish or better, then CP is going to win it. So then down from 2nd place, 3rd through like 8th place, it's all tied in points. Oh, wow. So it's really going to be interesting to see how it shapes up, and then what does that roll down look like, right? Because we'll have the 2 director spots. We did voting for our sportsman of the year, who will get that, and so guys are gunning for those spots, man. They want to go.
Heck yeah.
It's gonna be a blast.
Yeah, I'm excited about it myself. What did you say you're doing? How many are you awarding for first place? How many points?
100 points. Yeah.
And then how do you go down? Sorry, I think you did say it already. I apologize.
Yeah, no, it's fine. So 100 for first, 99 for second, 98 for third, 97 fourth. And it just rolls down.
1 point each there. So we kind of did a new deal for us, at least this year, where we did 100 for first, and then we just dropped down to 98 for second. Okay. And then from then on, we just went 97, 96, 95, 94. So first place has, a little bit more of a advantage, I guess, as far as the end of the year standings go. And then you see other ones where they'll do like a 2-point gap in between every place. I think maybe Moyak does a 2 or 3 point deficit or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. If we need to change it, I guess we will. I don't know.
I don't know that it, I don't know what's best or anything, but it's kind of cool to see, how things shake out differently if, you're awarded points differently.
So how do you guys do your tiebreaker if someone ties for Angler of the Year points?
I guess that's a great question.
I
would probably do like a big fish thing and say, who has more top finishes. Yeah,
I think, and that's kind of where we're at. Like, who has, let's say somehow Nate and CP start, they end up tying. Then we'll look at, okay, how many first place finishes, how many second place finishes.
Yeah.
In that way to determine the tiebreaker.
So in my head, if you're doing it like you would do a big bass, like if you and I both catch a that ever elusive 20 incher, then the next one would go to the next biggest fish. So in my head, if Nate had one first place finish for the year and CP didn't have any, then it goes to Nate.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a tight race, man. So I'm really excited to see how things shake up with this next tournament. I mean, I thought after our last tournament, the Lincoln Roadrunner, I thought, well, Nate's got this thing locked up for sure, and that's not necessarily the case.
Oh, yeah.
He was Tim Parker was chasing him, was on his heels for sure going into the Lincoln Roadrunner, but Tim only got a fish part of the day because he had a family emergency he had to deal with, and I think Tim still got some room to climb that board also and get up there. But our guys want to go. Like they want to go. We've been talking about it all year. It's a big deal for us. I think it's just going to be a good time for all of us to get down there and spend some time together and fish and just kind of hang out and enjoy each other.
So this is. Do you guys have a championship of your own?
Well, this next one, we call it our championship. It's just a one-day event, though. It's just the last tournament of the year. Yeah. Anybody can come fish it. It's just the last tournament that's going to kind of determine Angler of the Year points. So,
sure. Yeah. Now, have you considered ever doing does running a 2-day event in your club? Does that make sense at any point?
Yeah, I think so. Really, we approached this year with baby steps first, right? Yeah. Like, let's just kind of find our way and kind of get our thing going. Next year, we've talked. We haven't determined 100%, but there was some talk tonight as we met with other directors that a 2-day championship would certainly make some sense.
Yeah.
What that looks like, we don't know. We'll see.
So this is your first year, right?
It is.
So I guess maybe it wouldn't make sense to do this your first year, but this is something we've never done. Air Capital's never done, and other clubs around us have, and I don't know that there's any real reason why we haven't. But Rookie of the Year,
right? Yeah, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that there's anything wrong with it, but as a second-year club, can you have a Rookie of the Year contest? I don't know.
I
mean, how does that work? And is it Rookie of the Year based on guys that have only fished your events? I mean, what if they have a ton of experience fishing with the Sticks or Air Capital, and they're solid anglers? Well, do we give them a Rookie of the Year? I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you. I don't know.
Yeah, I love the idea of rewarding guys for their efforts. For sure, it's just something that we have to think through and when and if we come up with a system, we want it to be, fair for everybody. Because to me, like a Rookie of the Year, if I'm looking at someone for Rookie of the Year, I should be able to look at Tourney X and see that they've fished no more than 2 or 3 tournaments going into that year.
Sure. Do you have any sponsor relationships or anything that you would like to mention?
Yeah, so most of ours are just local sponsors. Shields was awesome to us. They gave us a nice check. CMG Financial Mortgage Company here, they took good care of us. Jersey Sports Bar in Keno, another great sponsor. Mike Kennedy Law here in Omaha. His I always touted him as your wife wants a divorce and you want to keep a boat, you need to call Mike Kennedy Law, right? Nice. So super cool dude for sure. He helped us out. American Solutions for Business, which is a company I worked for. Star Deli, which is who Jay works for. Homestyle Cafe, that's another. So yeah, there's been a few, and it's been nice. We had a little bit of money to work with going into this thing, and I will say this: we haven't quite figured it all out yet, but it's all getting paid back to the anglers at the last event.
That's cool. Heck yeah.
Yeah. So
that's pretty sweet.
Yep. It's gonna be a good deal, and I'm excited. I'm excited for this last event, but I'm excited to get started on next year too. They've already started accepting applications for permits in Iowa today. So we're already starting to hammer out schedules and just try to figure out what that looks like.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to make it out to a couple of those. I did notice though, and this is why I asked about, the Kansas anglers, if they were coming up there. It appears to not be very far away. I mean, even there's I don't know if it's like a logo or what, but on your website it shows kind of a map with a kayak angler silhouette, and
Uh-huh.
you can see, Topeka right there. That's where I was born actually. But it doesn't look like it'd be a very far journey up there. So make
Yeah,
sure
no,
if
man.
you guys are watching this, if you're in the Topeka, Kansas City area, up in northern Kansas, Holton, up there by Pony Creek and stuff, it's probably not too far.
Yeah, come up, man. The more the merrier. We just like having new people. We like having old people. We just want people to come fish with us and have a good time.
Rick says Omaha Marine.
Oh yes, gosh, thanks, Rick. I appreciate that. Omaha Marine, good guys. They're our feel free dealer up here. They've been awesome to Rick and I. We're both in the feel frees. We need parts. They're easy to get a hold of. They take good care of us. Just a really, really, really good company for sure.
Heck yeah.
Thanks, Rick.
He's got your back.
Yeah, always, always. Rick and I kind of met a couple years ago, and I tell you what, I've traveled more with that guy than probably anybody in my life.
Really?
We've been down to Louisiana twice for that red fishing trip with Dwayne, which is fantastic. That was a really, really fun trip. We would the last time we drove down halfway to Conway, Arkansas, and then we hooked up with Ben Spangler, and who passed away this last year, unfortunately, and James Whitehead, I think is his name. Yep.
Yeah.
Super good guys. They took us out. We went down. We fished Grand Isle for a couple days. On our way back, stopped in Arkansas again and went and hit another lake. So it's just been a really cool trip. I think one of the things that we've always kind of talked about is like, man, how do we spread that? Like, how do we get more guys from different clubs to all come down and let's go chase some redfish, right?
Yeah.
Not to compete, but just go hang out and have a good time. So that's something I'd like to see happen in the future. Just get a bunch of clubs together and go have fun.
I don't know why this just popped into my head, but this could be kind of a cool way to do it. So like I don't know what it's called. Maybe you do. Somebody who's watching does. But the women's event that they've had for the last several years, where they all get together,
right?
And like we could do something like that too, where maybe the objective is to go fish for redfish, but you have all these guys getting together, and you could have like a little electronic seminar. You could have like little different stations and make a deal out of it. Everybody eats together. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Hey, are you going to work with me on it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it, man.
I've never caught a redfish, so.
Oh man, it's a lot of fun.
So I need to cross that one off my list. So if we see, that was the deal. That's why I started the club. I had to have a good excuse, because otherwise my wife would have just been like, "No, you can't go." But I have to go. I'm the club president.
That's right. Yeah, man, you need to make that trip and go find a redfish. That's for sure. I haven't caught any giant ones yet. Prescott Humphrey, he went with us last time down, and he got a 36-inch bull. That guy was so excited. Wow. All he could say on the video was, "Oh my god, look at this! Oh my god!" It was super cool, super cool.
Well, give us a shout. I bet we could get some guys from our neck of the woods to go.
Yeah, for sure, man. We should kind of put our heads together, see if we can come up with something, and maybe find a good place for us to all go meet. And maybe it's not redfish. Maybe it's maybe we go float the white and fly fish for trout. Who knows?
There you go.
Heck
yeah, I like it. Yeah, that was something that we did talk about early on when I started the club, and it's like, everybody has their own stuff going on, kids, right, and sports, and all that stuff, and then trying to fit in tournaments, and then maybe not just fishing your local tournaments, but going that, and so it just, your schedule just completely fills up way quicker than you could imagine. But that was kind of the cool thing. We were talking about doing a trip down to the Devil's River. That's kind of a bucket list trip.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I was looking at the comments. I see that Bob Ankney is on here. Bob's a a guy that grew up with my brother and was always kind of a big brother to me. He's up in Michigan now,
Nice.
and maybe we'll just come to Bob's house and he, show us how to catch some of those big Michigan fish up there.
There's a lot of good fishing up there in that part.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Heck yeah. Well, thanks for watching, Bob. Appreciate it.
So.
Well, I think we're right at that hour mark. I mean, is there anything that you want folks to know about your group, or about maybe what's coming up for the next year? Just kind of stay tuned, or
yeah, I would say stay tuned. There's going to be probably a couple changes, and you know this from putting together tournament schedules. There's you want to keep your lakes fresh, right? But we had such good numbers pulled out of a lot of our tournaments. 93 at Green Valley, 95 at Wanahoo, which we had touched on, but we never really did talk about.
No, I don't think we did.
Wanahoo's been on fire this year. I mean, it's crazy how good it's been. Nate pulled out 95 and a quarter out there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Nate has that lake unlocked for sure. Tim Parker was right behind him at 90 inches. Still a great bag for that lake. So as we're thinking about lakes for next year, man, how do you forget about a Wanahoo or a Green Valley and put something else in its place? I don't know that you do, right? No. I mean, some of those lakes have to stay on the schedule, but we want to kind of mix things up too and bring in some new bodies of water. So there's lots of things out there that we're talking about. Rick had mentioned this morning that last weekend, Anita up in Iowa, someone pulled a 23-pound bag out of Anita. It's respectable, man.
Yeah.
Now my understanding, it hadn't fished good for the last few years, but something's happening if they're pulling 23 pounds out of there.
Sure.
So
yeah,
lots of decisions to be made. We have a lot to talk about, and we're starting now. Like we're going to get this thing buttoned up, and I'm excited to just get into next year and do this again.
Heck yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, and I think you got me a little bit excited. So I'm going to have to go. I think Wanahoo's one that I'd like to go back to.
Awesome.
Off camera, we kind of talked about it, but I went up there and fished a spooky bass event, and Nate was up there, and Christine and Marty and the whole gang up there was up there, and I pre-fished it the day before and did really well, but it just had a storm roll through, and so I know I could have done a lot better come game day if I had go back there. But no, a lot of timber in that lake. If you guys don't know it, a lot of standing timber. If I remember correctly, there was even some pretty nice sized grass flats and a lot of just a little bit of everything. Fairly small lake, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 600 acres, but as we mentioned, a portion of that's been silted in, which is kind of a bummer. But people have really discounted that lake over the last couple of years, and it's still very much alive. It's still a very good fishery. So that, and then
maybe it's good people are discounting it. So Wanahoo sucks, guys. Don't go there.
Wanahoo's terrible. Don't come. Green Valley in Iowa was probably my favorite lake that we fished this year. Fantastic. I want to say it's like 380 acres, but it fishes bigger than that. Just it's kind of in a horseshoe, more shoreline than say Wanahoo.
Yeah.
But a fantastic lake and lots of big fish coming out of there. I was excited for my 20 and a quarter I caught that day. As soon as Nate heard me yell across the lake, he posted the 21 that he had just got. So,
oh man,
yeah, right. I thought I had big bass locked up, but nope, Nate got me on a 21. So,
heck yeah, that's awesome. All right, man. Well, I hope to see you on the water. I guess not next year. We don't have to wait till next year. I'll see you at the All-American.
Yeah, for sure, man. I look forward to it. Thanks again, John.
Yeah, thank you. And for everybody that wants to check them out, they can check them out on Facebook, or you can go over to Central States Kayak Series.com and see all their schedule and all that good stuff as well.
That's it. Yep. Thank you again.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, guys. Well, that's it. That's a wrap. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Another good one. James Leggett with the Central States Kayak Series. So make sure you guys check them out. They seem like a really good group of guys, and we've had a couple guys on the show talking about how good of a tournament that they ran. So definitely give them a shot if you're in the area. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Now that this video is wrapped up, go check out the new video that I did on the Plano Edge tackle system. You guys might appreciate it. And we will see you again here real soon. Got another video coming up for you here in the next day or so, announcing our 500 subscriber giveaway. Guys, share this video with a friend. Help us grow a little bit here. We're on the move. 1,000's going to be our next big marker. So appreciate you guys tuning in. You guys have a good one. I'm out of here.